He's a financial expert, an entrepreneur, a hedge fund manager, and a venture capitalist. That phrase is a bad word over on the left. His name is Joel Block. He's also an author, Stop Hustling Gigs and Start Building a Business. Joel, welcome to the program this morning.
Hey, Paul, how are you this morning?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your book and your experience as a venture capitalist. That sounds fun.
Well, listen, venture capitalists, we finance ideas and innovation, and so investors give us money, and then we go around figuring out which ones are likely to be the big hits. So, I've never worked on the like in Silicon Valley, but I've done a lot of smaller deals, and that's been significant. So, as a result of all that experience, I wrote a book, basically cataloging 101 of the best ideas I came across in the last 20 years.
Wow. That's awesome. It's always great to talk to somebody, that has done interesting things like that, and then decided to share it with others. Put pen to paper. So let me ask you something. As a hedge fund guy, as an investor, this trade war with China, what are your thoughts on this, and how long do you think it's going to last?
Well, first of all, I understand that you got these Chinese. It's a billion people. These are very proud people, and they're not going to let us run over them like a lawnmower. I mean, they're just not going to let it happen. So, whether it's real or not, they at least have to stand up for themselves and show great pride. They've also think about how much they've accomplished in the last 30 years. I mean, they've really become an economic superpower, rivaling us, and so they're in a powerful situation. I think our president, though, is a wonderful negotiator, and I think that he's 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of all the rest of us, and we all don't totally get what he's doing. But he is. I've seen it in the last couple of years now. He just keeps pulling rabbits out of the hat, and it really surprises me. So I think this is less of a problem than a lot of us, are worried about.
I agree with you. I think it is as well, and I know people traditionally on the right wing of the aisle are not for tariffs, but you do have an increasing number of them, me included, that are saying, listen, Trump is a free trade guy, but he just wants the playing field to be leveled. And in order to do that, he's got to basically you stand up for America by saying, listen, we're not going to put up with these trade deficits anymore.
Think of it like this. When he was in the private sector, he had very limited things he could negotiate. But as the leader of our country, he wakes up one day and says, you know what, we're having tariffs today. So out of thin air, he creates these tariffs, and then he starts releasing them one at a time in a negotiation. So he created something out of thin air and then starts to abate them over time. And look what he did with Mexico, Canada, all these other countries. I mean, this has been going on for a year, this strategy, and this strategy has yielded incredible benefit. China, listen, they need us. I mean, China really, number one, they own $1 trillion of our debt, maybe a little more. And so they can't really afford for us to have a tremendous setback. They need us. Number two, we're a very big buyer of their merchandise. I mean, they're a major exporter to us. So although they do business for the rest of the world, they need us a lot. So there's a little bit of brinksmanship, a little bit of show here. I think that this is going to take care of itself here not too long from now.
So let me ask you this about China in terms of being a threat to us economically or even militarily. The Conduit News, we focus a lot on politics here in Arkansas, and one of the chief economic development policies of the state in many states are to give incentives for companies to move here, and taxpayer-funded incentives. And we had, before President Trump was elected, there were 4 Chinese deals. These Chinese companies, communist Chinese companies, were going to move here, take our taxpayer dollars, take our resources, send the profits back home, but hopefully create jobs in the process. And of course, all those deals now are on hold. And then you compare that with things like the FBI, the CIA. They've got investigations into Chinese espionage in all 50 states. We had some men who were indicted here in Arkansas for stealing rice technology out of Stuttgart. There really is a problem here with intellectual property theft, isn't there?
Yeah, it's well known. I mean, the Chinese deny it, but we've been talking about this for years. They don't have the same kind of legislative system, the same kind of legal and penal system that we have, and so they freely take that. In fact, the government seems to encourage some of these activities. It's unclear. We don't have absolute proof that this is happening, but there are a lot of companies that take their manufacturing there. And next thing you know, they've got new competitors that they didn't have before. So it seems clear and obvious, but it's also not been proven as far as I know.
Yeah, it really is. It's very interesting to watch this all play out. And you mentioned Mexico. That was something. Let me ask you this: what do you think about how the media covers all of this? Because they just claim that Trump is a really dumb guy, and they say they're ignoring the fact that people that I guess maybe used to be on the left, more of your union types, they've been for tariffs for a long time, and yet they made fun of him with Mexico. They said this is not going to work. Then they said you don't really have a secret deal, and then they ratified the public deal, and then they said, yeah, this is what the secret deal was. I mean, everything the guy said was true, and yet there's no consequences. The media just still continues to hate this man.
I built a company and sold it to one of our big newspaper companies in the United States. So I was inside the media business for a long time, and I think the media has really shot itself in the foot. And they're taking it. They're paying the price, by the way. I mean, they're struggling. I mean, look, you got a show, and you have nothing to do with traditional media.
Correct.
I mean, I've got a show, same thing. I mean, so we have moved those dollars. We're competing for advertisers. We're taking things away from traditional media, and it's hurting them in a significant way. But they continue to really, push Americans away, and they have this agenda, which their job is not to take a position on who should be the president of the United States. Their job is to share information with us, tell us what we need to know, allow the citizens to gather facts and make decisions. But they really kind of think that we don't have the educational background to make these decisions for ourselves. So instead, they're going to give us the decision and the opinion that we need. So I think that the coverage is very lopsided. I think they've done a very poor job. They've really moved away from their journalistic ethics and some of the things that are required of them in their industry, and we're suffering for it. And as a result, we have this polarization of our citizens, where legislators don't get along, citizens don't get along. It's difficult for people to be friends because they have such different opinions. The world has become a weird place.
It really is. They've made opinion guys like me more objective than themselves, because at least I tell you that I'm on the right and I want limited government and lower taxes, and so you know where I'm coming from, versus people who are claiming to be objective but they're clearly not. So that's an observation that I've had for a long time.
Listen, see, you have an opinion which is well stated and it's obvious, but when you present it as news, that's what fake news is. Fake news is really it's an opinion that's not really news. It's not that it's a lie; it's that it's an opinion that's disguised as we got 3 or 4 big networks and a few other credible sources. And all the rest is just talk. It's just opinion, and we've got thousands of these little shows and things now, and 700,000 podcasts, and everybody's got an opinion, and they're all broadcasting it like it's a fact. But it's not, and a lot of citizens don't know the difference because it's not easy and obvious for them to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big issue, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. So Joel, we're talking with Joel Block. He's a hedge fund manager, author of the book Stop Hustling. Bullseye Capital. Stop hustling gigs and start building a business. Joel, you say you got a show of your own. So is there somewhere people can get that?
Yeah. It's a podcast show that it's called Profit from the Inside: Strategies to Give Your Business the Inside Track. So we just bring on a parade of guys that really give the inside track to listeners. It's the best, fastest, smartest ways to get things done. And we just have an awesome array of really interesting characters that present all kinds of ideas.
That's great.
So, listeners who run businesses or are involved in businesses would enjoy it a lot.
All right, Joel Block, it was a pleasure meeting you, sir. I appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Hey, thanks, Paul.
All right, folks, telephone number 870-275-9799. We're going to have the tax increase breakdown, the numbers. We're going to have that coming up at 7:33. You don't want to miss it. You can get a sneak peek at conduitnews.com. Back in just a moment.